Alright, what I wish I knew at the start of my writing journey. So I began writing fantasy fiction about 8 months ago, and I thought I knew my characters. But I was wrong. I really didn't. And this must have cost me weeks, might have even been months, with wasted writing. And yeah, I jumped into scenes writing in my first months and continued doing this. Most of my months I've been actively writing, and I was putting words on the page. I thought I knew my main character, Roman, but I really had only a vague understanding of who he was. He's a teenage boy born in London, and he was going to this warrior school. But I hadn't sat down and really understood who he was as a character. And I realized after watching a bit of craft videos on character creation that I really didn't have any depth in who he was. I thought the depth would just come from writing more scenes with him in, and obviously it became I sort of got to know him a little more, but I didn't ask him questions directly, which is something I wish I did at the beginning, that I sat down and kind of had this therapeutic session with my main character and asked him what he wants, what he fears, where does he come from, what misbelief does he have about the world, these kind of questions. And I also wish I had watched a bit of craft videos on writing. I thought I could just learn it all myself and figure it out just by writing every single day. But there were certain elements like character creation which I just did not understand. I did not have the right questions to ask. And yeah, well, that kept my scenes quite shallow, surface level, and my characters shallow and surface level. And it's only been recently, these past weeks, that I've actually dived into building my character profiles. Specifically, I've been focusing on my main character, Roman Peterson, and my antagonist, because they are the most important people. So, yeah, people demonize this outlining process, but romanticize the process of just sitting down and writing and being creative, and the entire story will just pop up in your head. I believe that for most of the months I've been at it, and I've only recently realized that everyone needs a story structure and some narration elements and understanding of them. I know even George R. Martin, which is known to be like this Gardner pantser type person, which sits down and he writes scenes and he just figures out the story. Even he has outlines of maps, family trees, even major plot points, which he has to take a stop by, and character arcs. And that's outlining right there. Now, there's one problem. What I'm saying to you right now is to basically build your characters' profiles. Understand who they are by asking them different questions. I'd recommend going to Abby Emmons' channel. I'm not sponsoring or anything, but I've just gotten like a lot of value from her videos on especially character creation. She has a lot of good questions you can ask. But again, what I'm really saying is that outlining and making sure you know what the story is going to be, or having a bit of better idea than having a vague idea of what it's going to be about and who it's for. I don't want you to not write any scenes. But you can write scenes that are different, but very helpful for your characters. For example, writing backstory scenes. That's something I've dived hard into these past weeks. I've written backstory scenes for Roman and my main character, my antagonist, Garrick Mercer. And yeah, so I'm keeping my writing fictional scene skills maintained and making them better as well. But it's also benefiting my characters a lot. And also the reason why building these characters and making sure they have depth is very important, is because we don't watch a story through if we don't care about the characters. You probably heard the saying that characters is what drives a story. Think of Harry Potter. We don't want to watch a stranger go through the magical world. We watch a person we care about go through that world. So we care about Harry because we've seen his problems, his internal conflict, the way his life and his ordinary life at the Dursleys, living in the cupboard is, and we start to care for him, and we want to see him transform, go through this journey, because that's ultimately what the plot is about as well. It's just for us to have a character get an obstacle, which is the plot, the external conflict, pushing the character back, but then we care about the character. We want to see the character go through that conflict and change and transform. So that's why the characters are very important to get right, because if you get the plot right, but the characters aren't right, the plot is meaningless. Yeah. So that's really it. To sum it up, write backstory scenes to create more depth in the characters, because the past is what makes the person. Ask the right questions. You can find questions at IBM's channel. And yeah, learn and have a therapeutic session with your characters. I just personally ask it out loud. That's the second. And you sort of build a character profile with this. I use Scrivener for it. And when you have a more deeper understanding of your characters, your scenes will most likely be deeper as well, because you'll understand what choices and decisions your character will make. And that drives the plot. So I hope that made sense. That was a bit of a rant video, I'd say, but that's a thing that helped me like tremendously a lot out recently for chasing my own dream of creating this fantasy series. That's another day into a very long journey. Take care.